During her literature class, a boy tried to embarrass her by mocking her accent. Adaora didn't even respond. She just looked at him. 1 second. Just a look. His mouth locked shut. The teacher thought it was a joke until the boy started crying. He couldn't speak until break time. Adaora was shocked. She hadn't said anything, but she had thought it. The power in her tongue had moved to her mind, and now she was beginning to control without speaking. Back in the dorm, she sat in front of the mirror. Her reflection stared back like always, but now the eyes were deeper, older. She blinked. So did the reflection, but just 1 second too late. There was no mistake anymore. The pact was inside her. The next day she received a note under her locker. Meet behind the library at midnight. Come alone. There was no name. She almost didn't go, but she was too curious, too careful. So she waited. Midnight came. The moon was full, bright as a lantern. She walked behind the library, heart-pounding, footsteps soft. A figure waited there. A girl. Not from her school uniform. This one wore a red wrapper and a blouse made of thick local fabric. She had cowries in her hair and black lines drawn across her face. Her eyes were like charcoal, deep, dark, ancient. I've been watching you, the girl said. Who are you? Adaora asked. My name is Ona, the girl said. I'm from the old line, the first pact makers, before the debate club even had a name. Adaora's heart raced. What do you want from me? Ona tilted her head. Not me. Them. She pointed to the trees. Shadows moved behind the leaves. Adaora counted them. 6. Again. They're the ones who started it all, Ona whispered. And they're angry. You ended something sacred. I didn't want the power, Adaora replied. I wanted to stop the curse. But curses don't die, Ona said. They just find new mouths. The wind picked up. The shadows grew longer. Now you must choose, Ona said. Will you carry the weight alone, or create your own circle? Adaora stepped back. I don't want to. You already have, Ona said. The charcoal answered you. The fire knows you. The spirits followed you home. From the shadows a low hum began, the sound of people chanting, voices layered on voices too many to count. The air felt tight. Ona stepped into the moonlight and reached into a leather pouch. She pulled out 7 black stones. Choose your new stars, she said, before they choose themselves. Adaora stared at the stones. Each one had a name carved into it. People she had seen around school, people who were clever, curious, alone. She recognized one name, Zainab, the girl who always sat quietly in class, finishing assignments before anyone else. Another name, Ikenna, the boy who read old books no one else touched. These were not her friends, but they were like her. And deep inside, the second heartbeat whispered again, build. Ona disappeared into the trees, leaving Adaora alone with the stones. She picked them up. They were warm. And suddenly, she understood. She wasn't just the last member of the old debate club. She was the first of something new. For 3 nights, Adaora kept the stones hidden under her mattress. She didn't touch them again. But she couldn't sleep either. Every night she heard whispers. They came from the walls, from the corners of the room, sometimes from under her bed. At first they were soft, like the rustle of dry leaves, but each night they grew louder, more urgent. Begin. Choose. 7 must rise. Even during the day, her fingers itched for the stones. Her eyes wandered to faces she had ignored before. Faces in the crowd, sitting in class, walking across the assembly ground. They looked different now, like candles, waiting for someone to strike the match. By the fourth day, she gave in. That evening, as the sky turned orange and the school bell rang for lights out, she stayed behind in the club room, the one that used to belong to Toju and the others. She cleaned it. She swept out the dust, wiped down the chalkboards, rearranged the old wooden chairs. There were 7 still lined up in a neat row, the same 7 chairs from the old Pact. One was hers. The rest were empty. She took out the stones from her bag. One by one, she placed them on the chairs. Zainab, Ikenna, Emeka, Salewa, Olu, Bisi, 6 names, 6 seats, and the 7th, Heron. She lit a single candle and sat at the centre. Then she whispered, "Come to me." She didn't know why she said it. The words came on their own, like they were being poured through her mouth. The candle flickered. The stones vibrated. Far away in different corners of the school, 6 students stopped what they were doing. Zainab dropped her pen during prep and stared out the window. Ikenna looked up from his book and shivered. Emeka dropped his spoon at dinner and said, "Did someone call me?" Bisi felt heat in her pocket, where she kept a lucky stone she didn't remember picking up. Each of them felt the pull. Each of them dreamed that night, of fire, of chalk circles, of a girl with 2 shadows. By morning they came, one by one. First, Zainab. She stood at the door without knocking. Then Ikenna. Then Emeka. The rest followed. They didn't ask questions. They just came. Adara stood before them, her hands behind her back, heart pounding like talking drums. "You don't know why you're here," she said, "but something brought you." They nodded. This club was once something else, but that circle is broken now. They listened in silence. "I'm not asking you to sacrifice anything. I'm asking you to choose who you'll become." No one moved. Then Zainab stepped forward. "I saw it," she whispered. "In my dream, the circle, the fire, and you." "I heard her voice," Ikenna added. "In my head. She said we're not just students. We're tools." Emeka sat down in one of the chairs. "I'm tired of pretending I'm normal," he said. "I know I'm not." Olu followed. Then Salewa. Then Bisi. The circle was full again. Adara felt the power settle like dust after Harmattan wind. 7. Not forced, not sacrificed, chosen. She handed each of them a candle. "Light this only when you're ready, and never alone." That night, they stayed in the room, talking in low voices, not laughing, just listening, learning each other. Before dawn, Adara drew a new symbol on the floor, not a circle, a spiral leading inward, the shape her grandmother once carved into calabashes to trap secrets. The club had a new name now. She didn't speak it yet. It didn't need to be spoken. It was alive, crawling in the walls, hiding in books, breathing under the school. But something was coming. She felt it the next day during assembly. The principal announced that an inspector would be visiting from Abuja. A government agent, someone who had questions about the school's past. Too many students had gone missing over the years, too many strange gaps in the records. Adara looked across the courtyard. Her new circle stood quietly in the crowd. 6 sets of eyes, now tuned to her heartbeat. She wasn't scared, but the pact inside her stirred again. The second heartbeat began to quicken, not from fear, from hunger. This time the danger wasn't inside the club. It was outside. And the inspector, whoever he was about to uncover something that even Adaora wasn't ready to face. The government inspector arrived in a dusty black car that didn't match the shine of Ikiki Secondary School. His name was Mr. Garuba, tall with skin the colour of roasted groundnuts, and eyes that never blinked long. He wore a plain suit, no tie, and always carried a thick brown folder under one arm. From the first day, he asked too many questions. Where are the debate club records? Why were these students withdrawn without reason? Who was Amaka Easy? The teachers gave half answers. The principal smiled too much, but Mr. Garuba saw through it. Adaora knew he would come to her eventually, and he did, on a Wednesday afternoon right after classes ended. She was alone reading in the old club room. He didn't knock. "Miss Adaora," he said, "you're quite the topic these days." She looked up calmly. "I don't like topics." He smiled, but not with kindness. "Then you should stop being one." He walked slowly around the room, studying the old wooden chairs, the faded blackboard, the spiral drawn into the floor. "You know what I think?" he asked, running a finger along the windowsill. "I think something in this school is feeding on children, one at a time." Adaora didn't answer. He turned to face her. "You look young, but your eyes, they look like someone who's seen more than they should." She met his gaze without blinking. "And you," she said, "look like someone who asks too many questions." Mr. Garuba chuckled. "Good, you'll need that sharpness when you follow me to Abuja. You and your little club." Adaora stood. "I'm not going anywhere." "Your parents already agreed, didn't they tell you?" Adaora's heart sank. "What did you say to them?" "I told them the truth," he said, "that their daughter is involved in something dangerous." She felt the other heartbeat inside her begin to stir. "Then I'll show you danger," she whispered. He didn't hear, or maybe he didn't believe. That night she called an emergency meeting in the clubroom. The spiral glowed softly beneath them. Zainab was the first to speak. "What do we do?" "Leave," Bissi asked. "Or stop him?" "No," Adaora said. "We let him take me." They stared at her shocked. "You want to go?" Olu asked. "Not really, but he's not the problem," she said, voice low. "He's the key." "What do you mean?" Ikenna asked. She took a deep breath. "The real curse isn't this school. It's where the first Pact was born." Salewa blinked. "Where's that?" Adaora looked down at the spiral. "Abuja." The journey was quiet. Mr. Garuba sat in the front, silent, eyes always on the road. Adaora sat in the back holding only one thing, the black charcoal stone. It had grown cold again, but she knew it would wake soon. They arrived at a government building that didn't look like much. Old bricks, peeling paint, too many locks on the doors. Mr. Garuba led her down a hallway and into a room with no windows. Inside were files, hundreds of them. Yellow dusty folders stacked to the ceiling. "Here," he said. "The truth." He opened one file and showed her a photo. Amaka Eze, but not just her. Next to her, a younger Mr. Garuba. "You knew her," Adaora said. "She was my sister," he replied. "I joined the government to find out what happened to her. She wrote me letters, said something dark had taken over her school. I didn't believe her." He pulled out a second photo. Adaora's breath caught. It was her, but not really. A girl who looked just like her. Same face, same eyes. But the photo was dated 1975. "That's not me," she whispered. "That's not possible," he said. But it was. Adaora backed away slowly. Her fingers shook. The heartbeat inside her was louder now, thumping. "No," she whispered. "That's not me." Then the lights went out. Boom. Total darkness. Mr. Garuba called out, "What's happening?" But Adaora couldn't speak, because suddenly she remembered, not a dream, a memory of sitting in that room 50 years ago, in a different uniform, holding the same stone, speaking the same words, Come to me. The truth hit her like thunder. She wasn't new to the Pact. She was its beginning, its first voice, its seed. She hadn't broken the curse. She was the curse. And now, after years of being reborn again and again in different schools, different names, different bodies, she had finally come full circle. Adaora laughed. Not a loud laugh. A small one. Broken. I remember now, she said in the dark. I never stopped. I just changed. Mr. Garuba turned on his flashlight, trembling. What are you? She stepped forward, her eyes glowing faintly now like candlelight behind her pupils. I'm what you've been chasing. She touched the folder. The papers turned to ash. Mr. Garuba tried to run, but the door slammed shut. From the shadows behind her, 6 new figures stepped out. Zainab, Ikenna, Emeka, Salewa, Olu, Bisi. They had followed her, not to save her, to serve her. Adaora smiled, wide now, ancient. 7 must rise, she said, and then the light went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Mr. Garuba screamed, but no sound came out. The 6 students stood still, their faces blank, their eyes glowing faintly. The same glow pulsed in Adaora's chest, steady and calm, like the beat of a talking drum calling spirits home. She looked around at the ash-covered floor. This was the moment, the end, or the beginning again. But something unexpected happened. From the corner of the room, the old spiral drawn long ago, the first spiral, began to shift. It glowed not with fire but with light. A soft yellow light, like early morning sun after the rain. And in that light, a figure appeared. An old woman, bent, wrinkled, barefoot, her wrapper tied tight around her waist, her grey hair wrapped in white cloth. In her hand she held a wooden staff carved with 7 marks. Adaora froze. Who are you? She whispered. The woman smiled gently. I am the mother of words, she said, the keeper of balance. Adaora's voice trembled. Are you here to stop me? No, the woman said. I am here to remind you. She stepped closer. Her voice was quiet but powerful, like wind through old trees. You were once a child who loved to listen, the woman said. You asked questions, you read books, you spoke kindly. But when the world became cruel, you chose power over peace. Adaora's glow flickered. You were meant to be a guide, the old woman said, but you became a god. The other 6 students began to stir, their eyes dimmed. Confusion crossed their faces. They looked at Adaora, then at themselves. We thought we were doing good, Zainab whispered. We thought we were chosen, Ikenna added. You were, the woman replied softly, but not to follow, to choose. Every child has a choice. Power without purpose is poison. Adaora stepped back. The heartbeat inside her heart slowed. For the first time she felt it. Regret. Not because she had been caught, but because she had forgotten who she was. I wanted to protect people, Adaora said. I didn't want to be forgotten like the others. I was scared. The old woman reached out and touched her forehead. You are not the curse, she said. You are the one holding it. The spiral on the ground began to pull inward, gently. The fire, the power, the glow in the students' eyes, all began to drift down into the spiral like dust being carried by wind. Adaora felt the second heartbeat grow weaker. She dropped to her knees, and for the first time, she wept. Real tears, not from pain, but from release. As the last glow disappeared, the room grew silent. No more whispers, no more darkness, just peace. Mr. Garuba stood slowly. His voice returned, his hands were shaking, but his eyes were clear. What happened? The old woman looked at him. You found the truth, that's enough. She turned to Adaora. It is finished. Then she was gone. Just like that. The students blinked. They were back in their school uniforms. No more spirits, no more fire, just themselves, young, ordinary, free. Weeks passed. The debate club was shut down quietly. The spiral was never seen again. Mr. Garuba stayed at the school, not as an inspector but as a mentor. He started a truth and justice club where students learned about history, about speaking up without fear, and about using knowledge to heal, not harm. Adaora stayed. She wrote. She listened. She taught younger students how to think for themselves, how to question, how to use their voice, not to curse, but to comfort the others. They lived normal lives, but every now and then, when they passed each other on the school grounds, they shared a look, a knowing, a memory, not of power, but of what they survived. Power is not evil, but it must be guided by purpose. Success that demands silence is not success, it's slavery. And if you must give up someone to rise, you've already fallen. Your voice matters. But the greatest thing it can do is remind